Hi there, this is Wafa Al-Abaidat. You're listening to the Women Power Podcast, a subsidiary platform to the Women Power Summit, the largest event in MENA, with the aim of empowering women and helping them achieve their absolute highest potential. Each week on the Women Power Podcast, you will hear honest, vulnerable, authentic, real conversations from inspiring women. These women will share their experiences and stories into what it takes to build a successful business and career. The podcast will share insight and inspiration and hopefully inspire action and lead change. Jehan Al Khateeb is the host and producer of a podcast called Daera, which she produces, records, and publishes herself. Before developing and launching her podcast, Jehan worked in social impact, sustainable development, and developing youth programs. Jehan also writes and photographs and curates her social media as a visual diary of her colourful, rainbow-like life. Jehan is currently a coordinator at the Center for Genomics and Systems Biology in NYU Abu Dhabi. Welcome, Jehan. First of all, where are you? Are you in Bahrain or the UAE?
I'm in the UAE, so I moved here in January. I started working right after graduation. So I literally graduated on the 2nd of January and moved to the UAE on the 12th of January. So I'm now in Dubai, but I'm based in Abu Dhabi. I'm staycationing in Dubai now.
And you've always worked so hard. I'm shocked. I thought that you graduated a while ago. So you've always worked. Where does your work ethic come from? Like you have such hard work ethic.
So basically, I started working ever since I was 18. I started working first in an NGO in Lebanon. Then I moved to art spaces. I also did an internship at the central bank. I worked at the Ministry of Youth and Sports Affairs. I worked at 3BL Associates. I've been around, but mostly because I wanted to figure things out before graduating. I wanted to take things slow when it comes to like academics, and I wanted to have more experience so that when I graduate, I always used to crack jokes. I'm like, when I graduate, I'm going to be like the fresh graduate with 3 years experience. And that happened. So I was really excited about that. And it gave me the confidence to apply to jobs that, like they wouldn't require fresh graduates, but I would apply anyway, just because I think I fit the description very well. So it allowed me to do stuff. Maybe like, okay, I took things slow in uni. I didn't graduate earlier, but I also got this whole like best of both worlds because I was working, I had the money, but I was also a university student.
What motivated you to get all this experience and to kind of dabble in different subjects? Did somebody mentor you? Did your parents push you? Did you model somebody else's behavior?
It actually first started with volunteering. So I would volunteer in different places with different entities doing different things. And then I've reached a point where I'm like, okay, volunteering gave me a lot of experience. I know how to handle a thing or two. Maybe let me tell the people next time they want to hire me as an intern or as a volunteer, tell them that I want to get paid. And sometimes we're a bit scared to ask for money, just because I personally felt like I didn't have the enough experience. But my mom was like, you're giving out your time, you're giving out your effort, you're actually spending money to go to the job, and you're like, your time has value. So when your time has value, it means they're going to appreciate you more. And if you tell them like, I want to get paid at least a significant amount just to cover my expenses. So I was like, you know what, I might as well ask for it. And I was telling my friend the other day, I was like, women have a little of a bit difficult job asking for money, while men just like, they flaunt it away. They're like, hello, I need money. But yeah, so the first interview, they wanted me to come in as an intern. And I'm like, I would like a paid internship. And that's how it started. Started with a paid internship, and then they hired me full time. And then I got hired also in other places.
What did you learn from all your work experiences? If you could sum up like the top 3 things you've learned from doing all this work before you've graduated.
The best thing it taught me was time management and basically how to juggle a double life. because sometimes I would meet someone as an employee, and because Bahrain is so tiny, I would go back to university and I would see them as a guest speaker, and I have to cover their talk as like a mass communication student. And then they would see me and they were like, weren't you like talking to us and like discussing things with us and teaching us how to run our company, and now you're like a university student? So it was a bit confusing for people. It was also a bit confusing for me. But yeah, but it also taught me a lot of time management, how to manage my time, how to get enough hours of sleep, how to be social, get good grades, and also have a full-time job. That was very hard. It was very time and energy consuming, and at times where I would neglect my health. But I've reached a point where I managed to balance everything out and kind of give like everything its time.
Were your friends supportive of you, or were they like, Shhaddit, why are you working so hard? Like, come chill with us. Did you ever get FOMO?
There are a lot of friends that are like that, but recently, like within the last couple of years, I've been cutting off a lot of like toxic vibes or people who are making me feel like I'm doing a little too much, you're working too hard, you know? These type of people that are always trying to put you down or tell you, yeah, you're gonna work right now, but when you graduate, you won't find anyone to hire you. You won't be getting a good job. You know, just those who are always like so negative and they're trying to spread their energy around. So I had those, and slowly cutting them off was the healthy and the right thing to do. But there were also people that were very supportive and people that were very kind. And a lot of my friends were like, we're so proud of you. We're so proud of everything you're doing. But I guess the biggest support was, it was from my dad. So I think the happiest I felt was when my mom came to me and she's like, when dad sits with his friends, he talks about you. Like, it made everything worth it for me, because my dad is not the type that expresses his feelings a lot. And the fact that he's sitting with his friends and they're chilling and he's talking about me and he's showing them my work, he's showing them my videos, and he wouldn't tell me that. But then I found out, and, you know, I was very happy.
What are you doing right now? So you've done all these different roles and you've dabbled in different things. What is your full-time job in Abu Dhabi?
So basically all the internships and the work I've done before was either related to program management or project management or communications. So PR, marketing, all these things. Now I work at New York University. I work at the Center for Genomics and Systems Biology, and I do science communication. And it's really fun. It's really different, and it's a whole new world, because now I get to learn about genome and DNA and how you, genetically edit date palms to make them like more sustainable, or how do you genetically edit the red palm weevil just to make sure that there aren't more losses when it comes to palm trees in the UAE. So they're different researches, and I'm responsible for understanding the research and then communicating it to the public, or doing programs for younger generation or the public about like science and how to connect science with the society.
Is it a job that takes a lot of your time, or do you feel like you have enough time to do other things as well?
So I feel like I have the work-life balance. I've managed, when I first started, I used to spend a lot of time in the office, and I used to stay till like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. And then my boss came to me and she's like, I know you're young, I know you're excited, I know you want to get the work done, but if the task is not time sensitive, you don't have to stay in the office, you can complete it tomorrow. And I was scared at the beginning. I'm like, but what, like, if I'm not doing my job? And, you know, I was freaking out. But then she told me it's all right. And I feel like that's where it's very healthy to have someone who kind of points you in the right direction, or someone with more experience telling you like how does it work. But yeah, I got enough time to do other stuff. It requires less sleeping sometimes, but we're working on that.
the best content in the world is in English, like Netflix and movies and the best books that are in all the bookshops with the nicest covers and Audible. And there's just such good English content. It's so hard to cross over into Arabic, which I find limiting, but maybe that's what I'm projecting. You know, do you feel that way, or actually the world of Arabic content is vast and exciting?
I always tell my friends that we need to rebrand Arabic. So we need to make Arabic visually pleasing. We need to make Arabic like hip or trend or cool, you know, because it isn't like that. It's turning to that slowly. You would see like clothes with like Arabic words on them. There's like Arabic merch, and then people are trying to create more Arabic content, which is also the reason why I started Daera. But I feel like I was Arabic educated my whole life. So I went to a governmental school. I did my bachelor's in Arabic. I studied media in Arabic. So I feel like if I wasn't good in Arabic, I'd be a disappointment for the whole system. But for English, I've kind of learned on my own. So my mom taught me the basics, and then I continued with watching series or movies and stuff like that, and reading books. But I have this new rule. But when I became good with English, my Arabic became worse. So I'm like, okay, I have this new rule kind of to balance everything out. I will write in Arabic. I will not write in English, just because I feel like this is something I need to work on. And I will read fiction in Arabic, but I will read non-fiction in English. Because I feel like when I'm reading fiction in Arabic, I'm getting exposed to like the emotional side of the language, the feelings, the rawness in the Arabic. While when I'm reading non-fiction in Arabic, it's very formal, it's very systematic. And I don't like that. And because there are more information with books that are in English when it comes to non-fiction.
What's your favorite Arabic book?
قرأت التيه by Buthaina al-Isa. And it's about a young boy that gets lost in Hajj, and his parents trying to find him. It plays on religion, it plays on politics, there's like the human aspect of it. It takes you on an emotional roller coaster. I actually skipped a class to finish that book. I remember I was like, I'm not going to class. I need to finish that book. I got into my car, I drove away, and I was reading on like the stop signs or like the red traffic lights. I couldn't put it down. I needed to finish it. I needed to know what happened to the boy. And for a long time, I was worried for all the children that were around me, because like it's such an emotional roller coaster.
I want to talk about your podcast. So can you tell me why you started this podcast and what's your intention with Daera?
When I started Daera, I was actually in a very, 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 very low point in my life. I would sit on my couch for 10 hours plus watching non-stop episodes of Suits. And I've recently quit my job. I have just returned from Zanzibar on a volunteering trip. And you know, when you have like this crisis that what am I supposed to do? So my graduation was late for a whole semester, and I kind of had 3 months or around 4 months where I didn't know what to do. And I was like, you know, I can't just keep sitting on my couch. I actually have to do something. So I started writing. And at that time I had a long writer's block. So I wouldn't share what I write with other people until when one of my friends came to me and she was like, you know what? If you had a podcast, I would listen to it every day I go to work. And I'm like, no, man, no one is going to listen to me. Like, I didn't have that much self-confidence. And she's like, you know what? You have the technical knowledge. I've studied radio and TV production in university. You can write, you can speak, and you should do it. And you know what? Just try it out for a couple of episodes. And if you don't want to continue it, just take everything down. And I was so scared of like putting my work out there. It's a really scary feeling because the first episode was about expressing your feelings in a Middle Eastern society. And I was so scared that people are going to be like, no, that's not true. We're very fine expressing our feelings. You're just making that up. So when I put the episode out there and I started getting messages from people that are like, I felt that, I feel like that, I can relate to what you say. I think the happiest thing in my life is when people go like, oh yeah, I can relate to what you're saying, or to what you discussed on your episode. And then I started receiving positive feedback. I had a pause because I was moving and figuring things out and graduating, and I also had an internship. So I paused for a while, but now I'm back and I'm very, very excited. It feels like it's my own baby. Like with the other jobs I had, I can leave them at any time and go start something new. And I can leave this podcast and start something new as well, but this one is mine. I've created it. I worked on everything from A to Z. And it's kind of like a one-woman show where I write, I record, I edit, I design, I do like all the aspects of it, and it makes me very happy.
So what is your intention with this? Like, what's the big, hairy, audacious goal?
So basically, there are many platforms out there discussing many different things. And at a point, you wanna shine out. You want to stand out between all these different platforms and podcasts and everything else. So what I wanted to do, at first, it solely started because I wanted to express myself. I wanted a free platform for me where I can speak my heart out. And then I started feeling like this could have a higher purpose or a better purpose. So I also started thinking about the topics around us that we don't usually discuss them, or they're discussed but not with the human element. So there are a lot of issues where we only talk numbers or we only talk history, and we don't really bring the human element or the human side to tell their story when it comes to like very different things. So the first interview I've done was about Khaliji TV series, and it was with like a marriage expert who spoke about like how when you watch Khaliji TV series, that actually can affect your marriage, and it can affect the way you see love, or you view love, or you think about love. And we tapped into these things, and I'm like, oh, if I was on my own, I would have spoken like strictly on like the production or the script or that side. But because I had another person who had their input, who had their ideas, and who had their perspectives on them, it was a perfect episode, and I loved it. And ever since that, I decided that the episodes are going to be either journal entries or interviews. So I'll keep both purposes. I want people to express their voices and speak about topics they're passionate about, and also spread awareness about different things that are surrounding us, not necessarily a certain theme. And I also wanted to express my feelings. So I guess it's best of both worlds. Do you care about the numbers? Are you looking at like, the number of downloads you're getting? Or are you on the top 10 on iTunes this week? Or do you feel like, that doesn't matter to me and I'm not even looking at that stuff? Numbers are important, because for me at least, because I feel like these number of people are listening to you. So you want to know where they're from, what are their backgrounds, male, female, their age groups, stuff like that. Just so when you're developing content or when you're creating things, who are your targeted audience or your listeners. And I feel like I do a lot of, I manage the social media accounts also for work. So I work a lot on the numbers side of it. So, of course, I would like to know what the numbers are. My numbers aren't really big. According to Hibba Fisher, if you get to 5,000 downloads per episode, you are already now like in the top percentage of podcasts globally. So how are you in comparison to that number? Less than 5,000, but not much less. But I'm doing all right. And I feel like if I can change the idea, or if I can give someone something to think about, then I did my job. If it's only one person. Are you looking to monetize this in any way? Is your intention to find partners or sponsors, or do you want to keep it advertisement free? I haven't really thought about that. I mean, I'm a bit worried about like how partnerships or sponsors would affect my content. I feel like maybe this is something I could look into maybe later, but now I'm just, I'm comfortable with where I am. And I'm not spending a lot of money on the podcast because, as I told you, I do everything on my own. It's kind of like a homegrown brand, literally homegrown, apartment-grown brand.
Do you consider yourself a photographer?
I've taken on paid work, but not much. But I feel like photography is a way to merge, is a thing I merge with other plans or with other projects I'm working on. So if I'm writing something, I do the photography. If I'm working on, let's say, like a film or something, I would do the photography for that. So it's something on the side that I like doing, but I wouldn't really call myself a photographer. I work with PhotoBH on like also developing content or organizing photo walks. So, and I also sometimes teach photography for little children, to how to use their phones to create pictures or take pictures and edit them. But I wouldn't necessarily call myself a photographer. But one thing I'm passionate about in photography is photographing abandoned building. So sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm into like abandoned buildings photography.
I don't know, what generation are you? You're not a millennial, are you?
I'm in between. So I call myself a millennial, but I think I'm like Gen Z or something. But I was born in 1995. So I managed to live like the mid 90s, and I've managed to live like the 2000s. So
for your age group specifically, a lot of people are so comfortable just telling stories online, sharing their worlds online, but like really beautifying the content. Just like their use of filters and images. Like, I think I come from a generation of like, we just post raw images, like here, like this is like, it doesn't come naturally to us to think and to edit and to filter but I feel like for you, it's like flows naturally. And even for a lot of people around your age. So my question is, does it flow to you? You know, is it natural to you to be like, oh, I'm going to post this picture? Or is it harder than that?
I feel like I'm very comfortable posting things online, and I do it very, very organically. Like, I'm not usually thinking about how a cup is positioned when I'm taking a picture, or how these things work, or how this thing shows. So I would just take a picture, I edit it, and I posted it. It comes very organically, it comes very naturally. And I feel like our generation has that because I've been on social media since I was in like grade 6 or 5. So that's been a very, very long time. And we've like kind of like jumped and went around from one like social media platforms to another, from like High Five and Tagged and MySpace to like Facebook to Twitter and Instagram. So we kind of grew up with social media, so it's easier for us to like post things or talk about things and like share stories.
So everything you post, I feel, is so curated. Like when you post a picture of your desk, it's so Instagrammable. And I'm thinking like, is that really her desk? It looks like a set. Or are you like, genuinely, this is how I build my spaces? I think about aesthetics and I plan it in a certain way. So do you sit there like moving the blanket and the coffee, or are you like, snap?
No, I'm more of a snap person. It's because I like beautiful spaces. And the more I feel like the space is beautiful, the more I'm comfortable working on it. So when I didn't have any images or pictures on my desk, my productivity wasn't as much, just because I feel like I need to look at beautiful things, and the world is like full of them. So might as well like put pictures or put like designs or put like a little bit of glitter or whatever on my space. And that makes me very happy. But yeah, I feel like my life is heavily curated. I try to buy only nice things, and I get so pissed off when something isn't like beautifully designed, like my fridge, for example, but it came with the apartment.
How do you curate things, like even like your pictures? Or I collect things from all over the world, and I look at them sometimes and I'm like, oh, I love this menu, and I love this postcard, and I love this handwritten note. And then I'm like, oh my God, I have 100 of them. I'm overwhelmed. I don't want to put anything on the wall. I'd rather have an empty wall. So like, I give myself anxiety. So how do you make those decisions?
Basically, when I was furnishing my apartment, I remember I've just moved to the UAE and I was living on campus, and I was moving to the apartment right across campus. So I went to IKEA, and then I went back home and I had an emotional breakdown. I called my mom crying. I'm like, there are so many options. I'm so indecisive. I don't know what I'm gonna buy. I don't know how I want my apartment to look like. I thought I wanted a pink sofa, but then it's so light pink, and I know it's gonna like turn like brown in a couple of days. And then I started crying, literally on the phone. And my mom was like, okay, tell me, like, what do you need? And I'm like, how about you send my sister to me? And my sister is an interior designer. So she sat with me, and that's why I believe you should always consult with a professional. Luckily, I have one at home. So my sister is an interior designer, and she's like, tell me, what do you want, and what is your budget, and we can work on it. So she taught me as a client. She did the drawings for me. And then she's like, okay, you can put a sofa here. You can put something here. You can put a table here. Now I want you to choose. So I'm like, okay, I kind of like I have a plan of how I want to put things around. And then I started actually doing things on my own.
We at OBrien Hill have over a decade's worth of experience working with some of the world's most successful brands across F&B, retail, culture and hospitality. We are equally at home helping a brand define its point of view, positioning a new development, designing product, packaging or creating content that speaks to an audience. Whatever the challenge, we deliver sharp, intelligent, content-driven work that helps brands amplify their message to customers around the world. Contact us on www.obrienhill.com or DMing us on Instagram for your public relations, social media, and branding needs. I noticed that you took off your hijab, which was bold. What happened there? You wore it and then you took it off. What made you make that big decision?
You know what? Sometimes I feel like if you're a woman and you decide to either wear hijab or put it on or take it off or like طالعين الشعرج or you wear a crop top or what you do, whatever you want, you will always find someone commenting on the choices you make. No matter what you do, you can't please anyone. The religious militia will come, maybe not put that, but the religious people will come for you, or people who feel like there will always be people who are not happy about your choices as a woman, and you can never please everyone, so might as well do whatever you want. I wore it at relatively a young age just because when I was at school everyone was wearing it, so that was kind of the norm. And then when I grew up it kind of became a safety blanket for me, so I was comfortable with it. I wasn't unhappy. It was my choice at that time. It really helped me when at times where I felt like I didn't want to be seen. It just served as a safety blanket. And then there came a time where I wanted to take it off. And that wasn't easy because it's not only you deciding to take it off. It's like everyone else in your family has an opinion to say, or all your friends will say something. And everyone wants to give their input, or everyone is going to comment. It was 4 years ago when I was like, okay, I don't want to wear it anymore. And I was just so scared of how people are going to react, how things are going to change. How do I get my hair done? Put in mind that when I wore it, I was very young. So I didn't even know what my hair is actually in humidity or the sun or in the air. So these are would I dress up if I take it off? What do I wear? How do I style my hair? How is the society gonna react? So it was on a personal level, on the whole society is also was there in the back, and it was just really pressuring. So I put it on hold. I spoke to my parents about it. They were not very happy. But then when I decided to take it off, it was in March this year. I just took it off and I went out. I showered, I went out. And I was like, I'm not going to post anything about it. I just want to live a day without it. And I will see how it is. It went actually pretty okay. I realized that I didn't need that safety blanket or the thing that I thought I really needed. And I took it off in March, but I actually went public on it in July. So from March until July, I did not post any personal pictures of me. I did not post anything like online. My parents got pissed off when I posted it on my public account, more than they got pissed off that I actually took it off, just because now everyone knows. And I speak about that in my podcast, is that my mom and I stopped talking for a while after that. She was pissed off because she didn't want to get comments from the family. She didn't want to tell people, oh, you didn't raise your daughter very well. She was scared about how people will react. And I remember telling her, I'm like, people will always find something to talk about. They will talk about me moving out. They will talk about me taking it off. They will talk about me, I don't know, studying a certain thing or doing a certain thing or hanging out in a certain place. If someone wants to talk about you, they will find something to talk about. So I'm not going to live my life worried about the fact of what will people say. And that's it. At the end, she told me, you know what? You're my daughter and I love you. I wish you all the best. And if that one makes you happy, then good for you.
So when you weren't talking to your mother, how did that make you feel?
It felt horrible because I'm very close to my mother. I'm the type that watches TV series sometimes just because I want to discuss them with my mom, like Arabic TV series. And it really hurt me because I felt like she was not respecting my choice, and she also felt like I was not respecting her choice. So there was also a miscommunication between us because everyone wants to like show that they're the ones in power or they're the ones that like they have hold on things. But then when we talked about it and I told her like, this is making me very happy for the very first time. I'm just very comfortable. I'm being myself. I'm not being judged before I make any comments or any choices or before I enter a room. And I'm just very happy and I'm very content. And for the very first time, I actually like myself. I actually feel like I'm good looking, you know? And I've struggled with that. I've struggled with that my whole life. I always felt like I'm not pretty enough or I'm not good looking enough. And it's not about how people see me, it's about how I see myself. So I feel like because I was happy, nothing else really mattered. I mean, my parents do matter, but they also need to respect my choices.
That's so brave. What a brave and very wise thing for you to realize, which is like learning to love yourself and learning to love how you look and exactly how you were made is so powerful. And I think it's a rite of passage for every woman, especially in a time where everything can be edited. All our features can be edited. For you to say like, I love who I am now and I'm comfortable in my own skin is really powerful. Nothing is worse than, especially in our culture where we're so close to our families and we don't leave the houses, our homes until we get married, and we're we see our parents daily, weekly, we call each other every day, we see them in like every weekend and then in holidays, and it's just, we're so connected. So I know what it's like to not get along with your parents or to have a huge fight, or just, it really can dampen your whole mood. It's like there's a cloud on top of you. And we're also taught to like respect our parents no matter what and to listen to what they have to say, even if it compromises our happiness. So for you to realize I'm putting a boundary here, my happiness comes first, and you have to, like, I'm an adult, I'm not a child, and you have to kind of sometimes educate them on those things.
Yeah.
It's really not easy at all.
But you know what? I was telling my friend yesterday, I was like, I don't love my mom because she's only my mom. I respect her because she's my mom. I appreciate her because she's my mom. But I love her because she's also my friend. And I think that's where our relationship is different from like many relationships, I like mother-daughter relationships I've seen, is that because I love her, I share things with her because she's my friend. She's my safe space. when I'm dating someone or when I like someone or when I even think someone is cute, I would go tell my mom. When I'm not sure which outfit I want to wear, I would share that with my mom. Because she's my friend, she felt like a safe space. I'm not saying that our relationship is 100% perfect, but we both worked very hard on it just to make sure that things go right and things actually work out between us.
What is your biggest fear?
The future. I'm always worried about like what would happen next week or next month or like the next couple of days. I'm always like trying to think ahead just so I could have a plan. I know life doesn't work like that, but that's my biggest fear.
I'm always worried as well about the future. I want to control everything and I want to get to certain places, and I put so much pressure on myself to get to a certain place, and I can be quite mean to myself and I bash myself like, that's it, that's all you've done today, like, you know. So I'm learning as well.
You need to do more. You need to keep a plan. This is not how you get work done. And I would completely freak out. So I could totally relate.
Your podcast, how has it been to see all this feedback from people, or to find that people are engaging with you? What is the feedback like? Are people like, I don't agree with you? Or are they all like, oh, we all agree with you and thank you for talking about these subjects?
There were a couple of episodes where a couple of listeners and I would disagree on a couple of stuff, or we would talk about, we wouldn't agree, let's say, on a point of view. But I've always, alhamdulillah, had listeners who just want to talk and who just want to discuss, and even when they disagree with you. So there weren't really many mean comments. The meanest comments I got was صوتك مزعج, your voice is annoying. And I'm like, God, thanks for feeding into that. I didn't really need less self-confidence. But other than that, the comments have been amazing. I really appreciate it when people go the extra mile and they write a comment, or they sent me a DM, or they're like, oh, thank you for speaking about that. Thank you for talking about like your relationship with your mom. It kind of like reminded me of mine. Thank you for talking about like expressing feelings and stuff like that. So it's always been like good, positive feedback. But I do like share at the end. I'm like, please let me know what did you like and what did you not like, so I can work on it. And I've been getting, alhamdulillah, good feedback. So I'm very thankful for that.
How can people who feel overwhelmed, how can you transition from doing one thing to a range of different things with the very limited time that we have in the day?
So I feel like what my job gives me, it gives me a routine. And I actually produce better or work better when I'm like working a 9-to-5 job than when I'm free all the time. And this is something not for everyone, but I like a sense of routine in my life. And then after my job ends, I try to disconnect. I'm like, I'm not going to check my email. I'm not going to see what is going on at work, because khalas, I'm done. I'm out. I'm separated. I want to do other stuff. So then with the extra time I have, I'm like, what are the things that I like? What are the things I want to do today? So I keep a planner of everything. Like I write down all the projects I want to work on, let's say in this month. And I try to write them down, and I try to see which ones I want to prioritize. And then I number them, and I'd be like, oh, this one is going to be done at this time. This one is going to be done at this time. And I feel like there are a lot of conversations about, oh, if you want to pursue your passion, you need to quit your job. If you want to start a business, you need to quit your job. You need to quit your full-time job. And I'm like, with time management, you can do everything you want. I know that some jobs can be very pressuring and they can be very consuming, but you can always try to find the time. I have the luxury because I don't have children or I'm not married. So I feel like, of course, women with like a household have it definitely harder than I do. But try to always make time for yourself and try to always make time for your hobbies and put yourself out there. You know, I've realized that the more you brand yourself as like a specific, like a content creator or a photographer or any, you get approached by brands and you get approached by people. But if you keep it yourself and you don't put your work out there, no one is going to find out that you do like these things or like you work on specific things. And I know it's hard, and it also opens the doors for people criticizing you and people giving their comments about your work, but you're also growing. I mean, when I first started taking pictures, I thought I'm amazing and my pictures were a complete disaster. But the more you practice, the more you learn, and the more you work on yourself, you can definitely like venture into new things and work on new things.
Have you ever received a bad comment or a mean comment because you put yourself out there about your clothes or things that you do that you think are fine, but somebody would be mean about it? And how have you dealt with it?
I delete mean comments. I don't want my platform to be a place where you can project your negativity. I'm up for a discussion. I'm up for a conversation. If you feel like you want to talk about something and you feel like you don't agree with me, of course, come to my DMs or come to my comments and let's talk about it. But if you're projecting negativity and meanness and just like very negative comments, then I don't want you on my platform. It's like you're in my house, and if you're projecting negative energy and you're just very mean, I wouldn't let you in my place. It's the same thing. Like, I've received a lot of negative comments when I took off hijab. There were a lot of women, all of them were women, that were attacking my choice. And I'm like, if you guys were not mithajbeen and you wanted to put hijab on, I'd be the first one to support you. If you wanted to wear niqab and it's your own choice, I'd be the first one to support you. If you wanted to do whatever the hell you want, I would be the one to support you, because I believe that you have the right to make your choices. So don't come in my comments and attack me for doing something that does not affect you at all. The fact that I show my hair or not show my hair, that has nothing to do with you. So why are you taking it so personal?
Do you have to have a certain level of thick skin to deal with that stuff?
When I posted the first picture without hijab, I put my phone on airplane mode and I put it inside the drawer. I'm like, and then after I opened it, I deleted all the mean comments and then I put it in a drawer back again. I didn't want to be exposed to any of that meanness, because as much as you try to grow thick skin, we're humans. We're emotional. We get affected by what people tell us. And alhamdulillah, I haven't had a lot of like mean things except very recently. But the people on my platform has always been very kind and very supportive. There are ones that are like gossip about you or talk about you, but it's always behind your back, not really in comments or in DMs. But you could see the numbers of the shares. Like, a post has been shared like 32 times, and then you see people from all the same group who are not following you or viewing your story. And sometimes that pisses me off. I'm like, what do you want with me? Like, what are you talking about? But then, you're like, I put myself out there. I know people are going to talk, but people who are saying good stuff are far more than people who are saying bad stuff. So that also makes me happy.
Do you take on any projects today that have nothing to do with your work or your podcast?
I'm working on a couple of freelancing copywriting content or freelancing content creating for a couple of friends' businesses. So I do it, but I do it for fun and to keep myself busy. But it's not really something I'm focusing on. A lot of friends are like, you should do like content creating as a full-time job. But I'm always like, I'm comfortable now. I'm in my comfort zone. I really like where I am. And it's not about taking risks or anything, but I know this is not what I want to do for the future. Like, I have a bigger plan. So I'm just very comfortable where I am.
So what is your big plan?
My dream is to create a big, safe space for women to work on different things. For women entrepreneurs to show their work. For women to come work in a co-working space. For women just to be able to feel comfortable and express their feelings. And, kind of like welcome everyone within that space. More like an NGO. Just a very safe space for women. And somewhere where they can express their work. They show them their true skin. They're not afraid of being themselves. And more like a concept store / co-working space / safe space. And like, I don't know, it's very big. I haven't started working on it, but hopefully you could see the light one day.
Who inspires you, or who's your mentor?
I've had multiple mentors over the years. So there's something that makes me very happy, and I always say to my friends, I'm like, I never had a male boss. In every single place I worked, I've only had female bosses. And that kind of pushed me to be myself and to be so much better, because I've always had examples and people to look up to. So my female bosses always supported me and mentored me and kind of gave me guidance when I needed it. So I really appreciate them. But for the people who inspire me are my friends. I surround myself with a very beautiful, creative bunch of people that are always working on different things and different projects. And I always feel like your tribe decides your vibe. And my friends are very positive. They're always like, we're always working on projects together. We're always doing things together. And I feel like because I'm surrounded by such a positive bunch of people, it helps me create more and inspires me to be a better version of myself.
I want to say thank you, Jehan. This has been wonderful. You're so young, but you are also equally so focused and wise beyond your years. That's it for this week. Thank you for listening to an episode of the Women Power Podcast. And thank you for downloading and streaming our podcast every week. If you love what you've heard, tag us on Instagram and follow the Women Power Podcast and Women Power Summit account for more information on our next episode. Please leave a rating review wherever you get your podcast. It really helps other women discover the show. That's it from me. See you next week.